Today's live stream is being brought to you by Clarity Media. Support the Dreamer Fund, assisting dreamers and undocumented students financially to pursue and complete law school through creative community engagement. Visit dreamerfund.org today. Black woman owned. Clarity Media. All right. Hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me here on We the People. It's Alicia Mayo, CEO, founder, executive producer of Clarity Media. We are live with our very first We the People, building trust for the first time. And I say we're building trust for the first time because for the first time in our history, many things have happened that have never happened before. And it looks like we are making some progress as a nation and as a people. And so why not just continue the momentum that got started last summer after the unfortunate accident and problems with supremacy and the the destruction in neighborhoods and the destruction of people and the relationships amongst them. To put it lightly, I'm not trying to um, minimize what actually happened. We all know what happened, but we have to grow from that. And so we can't hold on to the trauma. We can't hold on to the grudges, and we can't continue the oppression. It's time to renew. It's time to develop a new attitude and a new spirit so that we never see and we never experience what we experienced this past summer, just in January at the United States Capitol. Things like that should not be happening in our country, but it is up to us to make sure that they don't happen again. So welcome again to We the People, building trust for the first time. I'd like to thank the audience and my special guest tonight for joining me. This is a place for us. It's a community talk show where we can reflect and heal and hopefully create solutions together as often as necessary, especially during crisis. We the People will be a platform to talk candidly and honestly without breaking down relationships or respect for each other. I don't produce Clarity Media content for status on social media. I do this as a responsible activist led by my ancestral spirits and guidance. As a leader and role model of strength and pride and courage. For the work that began long before me, I do what is necessary and what needs to be done as a woman, as a mother, as a sister, proud of who I am and who my people are, regardless of who they are. And some of you guys know my ancestry. I'm proud of it all, no matter what. And I'm following in the footsteps of women who liberated themselves and others. And I want this to be the time we take to reflect, honor, release, and grow ourselves. So everyone here in the audience should know that this or any other Clarity Media programming is not a competition to prove more worth or relevance over another platform. It's not about how much you know or how educated I am. It's not about our friends in high places and the separation conversations within the clique. This is about we, the people who come from everywhere, no matter where we come from. We come here to be free from all of the isms, all of the hate, the division, the oppression, the judgments, and no one will be canceled here. We, the people, are here for the work to create the environments and the attitudes of freedom, justice, equality, respect, love, prosperity, everything that is good, okay? And if you're not about those ideas, you can still join us here to explain maybe or give us an insight on why you're not for those things and why you don't believe in those things. You're all welcome here on We the People, building trust for the first time. Okay. So now let me introduce my guest, Ashley Chang. Let me bring her in and unmute everyone. Let's see here. All right. So I'd like to introduce Ashley Chang. Ashley Chang is the Executive Director of, let's see, here she is. She's the Executive Director of Charity Cultural Services Center in San Francisco's Chinatown. The organization provides vocational training to underserved communities. Ashley has served for over a decade in San Francisco's city government, including civic engagement, immigrant affairs, and public works for the first Asian mayor of San Francisco, Mayor Ed Lee. She is also the president of the Coalition of Asian American Government Employees. Welcome to you, Ashley. Thank you for being here. Next, I have clinical psychologist. He's Jason Outlaw. Hopefully he'll be joining us soon, but he's not quite here yet. So let me skip past his introduction here. Next, I have attorney Kenneth Martinson Gomez. Kenneth Martinson Gomez. Thank you, brother, for joining us. Kenneth Martin Gomez, he's a labor and employment attorney specializing in workers' compensation. He's a community activist who works tirelessly with immigrant workers' rights and Black and Indigenous people of color who have a difficult time finding representation. He's a man working hard to try and help folks who need the help, immediate help, legal help, serving people for more than 28 years as an attorney. Welcome to you, brother Ken Martinson Gomez. Thank you for being here. Okay, and next I have Marisol Rubio. Hello, my sister. Thank you for joining us. Marisol recently was elected Assembly District 16 Democratic delegate. She's the director-elect of Dublin San Ramon Services District. She's a healthcare provider delivering in-home support services. She's a translator, a learning coach, and a former science teacher who also ran for state senate in 2019. Wow. We have some great folks here, you guys, tonight. Let me unmute them and bring them all in. Welcome to all of you. Thank you for joining me so far. That's who we have for the very first group of people.
Hello, everyone.
Yes, good evening. Thanks for the invitation.
Oh, you like that? Yeah, okay, great. We were supposed to be joined by Pastor Nelson Rebel. He's the associate pastor at St. Paul Lutheran Church of Lodi. He is the Spanish minister there and a very active community activist supporting and helping migrants who are being tormented in the communities. And particularly, most recently, yesterday, as a matter of fact, one of his parishioners was attacked and beaten by his neighbor, unfortunately. And Pastor Rebel is now busy supporting that family that was attacked by his Caucasian neighbor. The Mexican victim is a hardworking citizen who deserves some protection and rights in the community. And thank goodness for Pastor Rebel, who's doing the work to help that family with what occurred. Unfortunately, he couldn't join us because of that tonight. So on that subject, let's continue with the idea of minorities being attacked in the communities. And I want to share a short clip with the audience out there of an attack that occurred in Chinatown recently, where some tourists were in the city visiting one of the tourist destinations in Chinatown. And let me go to that here. While visiting the destination, the tourists were attacked by an African-American male. And let me just play what happened next to share this with you guys. Just an example of what we're going through in our communities as people of color, Black and Indigenous people of color. And it shouldn't be happening. My dear friend, Dion Lim of ABC narrates the story. So check this out.
The owner of an historic San Francisco business caught on camera flashing his gun. It's video you'll see only on ABC7. Tonight, he explains why he's taking matters into his own hands to defend Chinatown. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Dion Lim. That dramatic video is from outside the Golden Gate Fortune Cookie Factory. I spoke exclusively to the co-owner tonight.
The guy just pushed like this real quick. He did the first push real hard.
This brazen daytime assault happened Saturday afternoon outside Chinatown's iconic Golden Gate Fortune Cookie Factory, where the man in the black sweatshirt singles out one of about a dozen tourists and attacks. We blurred the man's face because he has not been arrested.
The guy asked the black guy why he pushed me. He said, "Oh, because you're staring at me 2 blocks away."
What makes this story remarkable is what unfolds next. Co-owner of the factory, Kevin Chan, seen in the gray sweatshirt with green sleeves, immediately steps in and lifts up his shirt to reveal,
I have a concealed carry that needs to protect my business.
Just the sight of it is enough for the man in the black sweatshirt to leave.
I guess he's kind of scared too, so he don't even go any further.
Tourism in Chinatown was down 35% before the pandemic. Once COVID hit, business went down for some as much as 90%.
Where you guys come from?
While some tourists are coming back, as we witnessed Sunday night.
This is the original machine to make fortune cookies. They are 1956.
Kevin can't afford for incidents like this to scare visitors away.
You think the people come? They will have bad impression. They will blame it in the Chinese community.
Kevin decided not to file a police report, afraid it would go nowhere. So he is choosing to tell his story, to send a message to local leaders.
Not to defund the police, but to reform the police and to reorganize them. Not just take away the resource. And our community needs the resource.
What would you say to people who consider you a hero?
I'm not a hero. I just do my job to protect my family, my business, my people, my guests.
Okay, so as you guys could see there, things like that are happening constantly, not just in the Asian community. Yesterday, it occurred in the Mexican-American community, where our guest tonight, Pastor Rebel, couldn't be with us because he is out supporting that family that was attacked yesterday. And in the history of African-American people, we can only imagine and remember the pictures of dogs attacking Black folks when they were peacefully marching, African-Americans being lynched and all of that. We know the history. We know what's going on. Ashley, what would you like to share about that? How do you feel about it? Just give us your perspective.
Well, I'm sure that you've heard that there is a lot of anti-Asian kind of sentiment around in recent news. That's just being updated, but now, and it's gotten escalated and actually gotten exacerbated during the Trump administration, as you would know, because we were called the Kung flu and the sort of other kind of
derogatory statements, yeah.
Names of stress of the racial tensions that's been going on. So, what you just saw is just, one example of what's happening, and there are this where.
So as far as your work with
towards,
Okay, so we're having some connection difficulties. So I'm going to ask the question, but this question goes to Kenneth, Marisol, and Ashley as well. With the attacks that you're seeing, like what do you think is the problem? And what do you have to say about it personally?
I think basically people forget about their community. They forget that their neighbor has the same wants and needs, and they let the rich and powerful convince them that the neighbor's taking away what the rich and themselves are taking away, making people fight among gender, among races. It's basically that type of fear and misinformation that serves the rich and powerful while other people get hurt.
I agree with Ken. I think that this is not new per se. I mean, even when we had the Italian and the Irish immigrating to the United States, there was always this constant shift to kind of almost competing not to be a group that was being sort of isolated and pegged out. But unfortunately, like Ken said, when there's sort of what I called it, when we turn our Black and brown and indigenous people of color against each other, we weaken each other. And that's actually working against us. So we have to find a way to find strength in and community amongst each other. I think the other thing that we have to contend with is that the reason the man attacked him was because he felt he was looking down upon him, that he, in some way. And this kind of goes back to the whole issue of the trauma of being racialized. We have to deal with that. These are not things that go away. These are things that we learn very early in life, and we relive that trauma over and over and over again. sometime, perhaps in that instance, you know, there was a cue that he remembered from something that he may have experienced earlier in life, and it set him off. And it happens to all of us. I know I've experienced it over and over again, especially running for office. I'm dealing with a lot of different personalities, a lot of different people. And, you know, I don't always believe people have bad intentions behind it, but sometimes there's implicit bias and they're not aware that they're doing that.
Right. You hit the nail on the head right there, Marisol, with that being triggered and the trauma. But it still, you know, doesn't give someone the right to, you know, to physically attack someone. And what have we learned about, you know, getting physical and attacking people? You know, I think we can take some cues from police and how they handle us and kind of rein us in to limited spaces until we feel, you know, pushed into a corner, and then we want to get free. You know, it's about freedom. It's about the right to liberty and to have some space to move around and to just be yourself, to have equal opportunity to things. And you know, so they said that the guy was going to rob him. I don't know what was going on there other than just, you know, the physical activity. The robbery never happened, but the physical attack happened, and it's unfortunate. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to have Dr. Jaycion Outlaw on, to really, you know, look at that deep-rooted displaced anger and that disposition. You know, the presentations of behavior are a deeper, you know, there are deeper causes to make people behave like that. And so I think you hit the nail on the head with that. I don't know. I think we lost Ashley there. So Ken, in your experience with dealing with immigration and the groups of folks who don't have, you know, the protection to speak out against racial attacks or any kind of attack against them, what is your experience with that, and how do they resolve? How are those families resolving those pretty serious events like that, being attacked by your neighbor and then not having any recourse?
I think for people who are alone and dealing with it in isolation is very difficult. That's why one of our goals as community leaders, people in the professions, whatever we do that have a voice and can speak, we have to reach and touch those people and tell them what they can do. You can do a lot of media, you can do a lot of stuff, but until you go to the actual community centers or go to a neighborhood meeting, go to a parent-teacher meeting, you're not reaching somebody who's still afraid to speak out. So I think you need to gain the trust of people by being there. And that doesn't mean you yourself being everywhere 24/7, 365, but associating with people who will provide that information, finding the best way to reach the people that don't know yet. Because there are a lot of protections that are out there. If you're undocumented and you're subjected to physical violence, you can apply for permanent status because you're witness against a crime of violence that the DA and society doesn't want to be occurring. And so there's a lot of things that people can benefit from if they tell their story, but it is a hard story to tell without support and the confidence that there's not going to be a bad repercussion for you as an individual.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, thank you for that. So we have Ashley back now. Ashley, thank you for joining us again. Glad you could be back with us. We're talking still a little bit about the attacks. What would you like to add to that in terms of your work as the executive director of the Charity Cultural Services Center in the Chinatown where that attack occurred? What is the community doing there to try and resolve the matters? And I know that you've also done work with the extended communities, helping folks gain, job skills and opportunity for economic equality and even counseling services. What is the neighborhood doing? What's Chinatown doing to try and reach out to other communities that you think might help?
Well, I think we've been pretty active in kind of reaching out to officials and other people, and just understanding, that the economy might have something to do with the increase of violence, number one, and also the racial tension was not something new, like I said before. It was it has been there, and it kind of exacerbated because of during the Trump administration, there was rhetorics that were put out there that were against the Asians. So of course, you see the climate has gotten increasingly bad. So one of the things that we are trying to do is reach across the aisle and talk to our African American friends in areas, and try to understand where people are coming from, and see if we can. February is actually a month of celebration for us. And we also understand it's the Chinese New Year, it's the Lunar New Year, which is a very celebratory family gathering, kind of almost like Thanksgiving for the American holidays. But also we understand that it's also a celebration of the Black history. A lot that try to bring the two communities together and understand where we are. It's a time that we need to celebrate together and also understand our history together.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you there. That's exactly what I'm doing right now. This is the intersection of that lunar year and Black History Month, and what a nice way to intersect. But I was born and raised in San Francisco, and I went to Marina Junior High School right there in the Marina, and George Washington High School. And I lived in Daly City, and everywhere I went, there was a large population of Asian folks, more than Blacks. I have to say, at one point, there was a larger population of African Americans in San Francisco, but I have seen that quickly diminish over the years. And although my family still lives there, the block just off of Silver and San Bruno Avenue is predominantly an Asian block. So when I go home and I walk down the block, I don't see any of the families that I grew up with. And, I was born there in 1965. That was a long time ago. Just about everybody's gone. And it's really kind of depressing, and it is traumatic. It is deep rooted. And I just hope and pray that those of us in the African American communities that are still here in the Bay Area, I hope that we can reach out to our Asian brothers and sisters however we can. And like I'm doing tonight, here it is. We're on social media. I'm usually fingering through, looking at pictures and liking stuff, but I decided to use it in a more effective, in a broader way. And so this is just my humble attempt to reach out to communities that I wouldn't normally be reaching out to, and that I want to connect with. What better way to do it than tonight like this? So thank you again for joining us, and thanks for talking about that. So Ken, let me get to you right now. Can you talk about the immigration issues that are going on with families being reunited? Because I can't imagine as a mother what it is like for a family who's been separated from their children in their attempt to come and find work and to have a better life. What's going on as far as with joining families together? I've heard that some families have been reunited recently. Is that true or not? And what can you share with the audience about that whole process and the unfortunate separations?
I would recommend people turn to National Immigration Law Center, and also that they follow a nice California organization called CHIRLA, CHIRLA. They're at the forefront of tracking these things, making sure that people are registered to vote, making sure that the undocumented community is aware of their rights, and also tracking this issue. There's also a local organization in the Bay Area called Siren, SIREN, and they track this more closely. I'm not an expert in immigration. There is an attorney association for immigration experts called ILA, American Immigration Lawyers Association. And so what I can glean is that there's an attempt by the Biden administration to rectify some things, but once the family is cut up, it's hard to recover from that. And it's just a permanent trauma. And it just didn't register with a lot of the media. I got really annoyed. I don't want to name the station because that's kind of messed up. But to have a white broadcaster say that she can speak Spanish and she's talking to a child in a cage and she says, ¿Cómo estás? To show off her Spanish. Like, how are you? Well, how the hell a child gonna feel? Horrible, dehumanized. And it's like, what's up with that? A national broadcast anchor showing off her Spanish, saying, how are you, to a child locked up in a cage? I don't know what's up with that. Implicit bias, stupidity, just, I don't know. So we got to reunify the families, but I don't get that.
Yeah, go ahead, Ashley. What were you going to say about that?
Oh, I said it was just very insensitive and unprofessional, to say the least. Yeah.
What about you, Marisol?
I was going to say it actually underscores the need and reinforces the fact that we know that we need people, trusted people in the community, people like that are part of their community that they can identify with, to be the people doing the outreach, to be advocating for them. There's a level of trust that's there that they don't feel with someone who's a perfect stranger otherwise approaching them. So I think it would have been more appropriate, for example, for that news station to put someone, a Latino person, to come into that situation and talk with the people, and probably would not have made the same error because there's a cultural component that it's something that we share within our community, and unless you were raised in it, it would be very challenging to understand, and that sensitivity was obviously not there.
Right. So now, it's still unsettled. We still have children who are without their parents. We are still in the middle of resolving that. What can we do? What would you recommend an individual like myself who feels kind of isolated or away from it all because I'm in a different racial group? I don't really know what I can do as an individual. For an average person, what would you recommend? What would you say we could do? Anybody?
Do you want to go, Ashley, first? Or?
Oh, I was thinking the first thing I would do, I would pick up the phone and start calling my congressperson, whoever represents your district, and just express your concern of the the insensitivity of this whole situation. That speaks for volumes, and I think there our representatives are there to listen to our voices, and this is what we should do to individually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, instead of sitting there feeling hopeless, and I've often felt hopeless and think, to myself, well, I did spend some time in the school district working with those children who were here in the school district, couldn't speak any English, and they, paired me up with them, because there was no one else to work with them. I often felt, not really prepared, and like, okay, so my name is Alicia Mayo, but that's it. That's the only connection. That's the only thing that they thought I could. Well, I try and help them without words. I try and help and do what I can, even without words. And so the idea of, yeah, connecting with your congressperson, that's a great start. Marisol, any other ideas?
Oh, absolutely. Just stay engaged with your local organizations that are at the forefront of these, issues that are disproportionately impacting Black and Brown and Indigenous people of color. Definitely, like Black Lives Matter is a fabulous example, and there's many more. And so really get plugged in, become ally. We have to be allies to each other. At the end of the day, we are on the same side. We are all facing discrimination. And I think that, and we have to validate each other, because we don't get that very often, especially from Republicans, right? We don't get that very often. And so we have to provide some healing and support and, frankly, love for each other and be there for each other. And so I think being each other's brothers and sisters keeper is important in this regard.
Yeah, I can't speak Spanish, and I wouldn't attempt to say, hello, how are you? I just would get into action with my students when we couldn't communicate. It was a nonverbal communication. That works too. What about you, Brother Ken?
Well, I wanted to respond to how you approach the subject, where you say you're not necessarily part of the group, you weren't sure how to address it, but if we maybe recognize that some people might say we're not part of, but we actually are. We all have the same wants and needs, and every space has to welcome anybody from another space, even if they make up, goofy statements or whatever. Your actions speak a lot. And the fact that you as a teacher and as a compassionate person try to show something positive to the kids, even though they didn't speak English, meant a lot. And there's nothing wrong with learning, making mistakes, finding out, and finding your way and how to achieve justice for yourself, justice for a neighbor. And so thank you for putting on this program tonight.
Yeah, it's my attempt. So let's now open the floor up to you guys. Why did you come tonight? I sent invitations out to folks, and you all said, yes, I want to be a part of this. So just kind of tell us why and talk about what you're most concerned about right now is happening in our society, nationally or locally.
I can begin if you guys
go ahead, Marisol. Yes, go ahead, Marisol.
I was going to say, well, for me personally, is that I do feel there are some nuanced issues that are often overlooked when we talk about discrimination and racial and socioeconomic disparities. And while in theory and in word, there's a lot of promises made, and we often fall short of that. There's also the component that especially where I live, I have to clarify that, because where I live, it is a relatively affluent neighborhood. And so I feel it's challenging. I know that there are people who mean well, but oftentimes we're not making fundamental change that would truly change the trajectory of Black and Brown and Indigenous people of color. And that's where I think personally my frustration is that it's sort of like, while they're well-meaning, our representatives sometimes, they're sort of picking isolated issues and not really looking at the bigger picture of what creates these disparities, how can we close those gaps, and affecting policy that will fundamentally change the trajectory that our people of color disproportionately experience.
Okay.
I'm here.
Can you turn your volume down just a little bit, Ken?
Because I don't have anything else on. Is that okay now?
That's a little bit better. Just turn down just a little bit more. Okay.
Not the first time I've been told to be more quiet.
It's okay.
But I'm here because cultural identity and race has always been interesting to me. Coming from two different backgrounds, I really like Alicia's approach to a lot of topics: mental health, race, things happening with firefighters and safety officers. And I think it's great that we acknowledge that things aren't perfect, but they're getting better. But there's still a hell lot of things to be mad about, like people being ignored when they go to court, even though there's an interpreter and a judge not minding the interpreter and just going back and forth. And the interpreter has no way to tell the person seeking their rights what's going on. And there's just too many crazy things that still happen in 2021 in California, in the sanctuary city. They just kind of say, that's not right. And so there's a lot of things that aren't right. We've got to keep focusing on and not assume, okay, well, now they got interpreters. Okay, now they respect Spanish as a language. That's not enough. Like Marisol was saying, we have to teach people how to become engaged, not give up, get involved in their kids' class, do something locally at the school or the city council, and realize you can affect change if you show up. And showing up is being there, and not just liking and retweeting. It's showing up, doing the work when nobody else is watching, but you know you're making a difference.
Amen to that. So, brother Ken, I'll ask you to turn your volume down just a little bit more because we're still getting a lot of feedback. I think probably we'll get you some earbuds so that next time we can have.
I have earbuds.
That might help you. That might help with the feedback. Okay. So in the meantime, I'm going to mute you for now. Okay. All right. Oh, I'm still, maybe it's me. Huh. Okay, Ashley. Thank you again for joining us. What brought you here tonight? Like, what made you open yourself up on social media like this?
Well, we see each other on Facebook, and I am familiar with you, and I just felt that it's a time to kind of speak up about the recent things that's been happening in the community. One is the anti-Asian sentiment that's been ongoing, and I feel like this is the perfect time. This is a celebration between two.
Ashley, just a second here. It actually might. I'm going to have you turn your volume down just a little bit because I want to make sure we're hearing what you're saying. Yes. That's a little bit better. Down just a little bit more for us so that we don't miss you. Okay. Okay, now give it a try.
Good. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can. Go ahead. Let's give it a try.
I just felt that this is a perfect timing as we are celebrating. We see a lot of hate in the community, but I felt like this is February, the time to kind of actually bring us together. It's really timely that you reach out to me during the month of celebration and during the time that all this is happening. So I wanted to use it as a chance to kind of bring the two communities together and really wanted to hear what other people's perspectives on that. And also there are other things that are happening as well. I think the school opening is another concern that I would like to hear what people's thoughts are. There's been a lot of talk and there's a lot of drama that's been happening in the district and lawsuit around that as well. So yeah, just a lot of issues that to see what your guest today will be coming with. Another thing that I'm interested in is to hear about the recent efforts on the diversity and inclusion. I think in government, I've seen there's underrepresentation, like what Marisol had brought up, that when you see something familiar, you're naturally drawn towards them more. So what will be the government's way of engaging more in the community, and that's where there's much more hate that's going on. What can the government do to kind of bring those communities around?
All right, thank you for that. So who would be next? Anybody else? How about you, Marisol? Did you answer that already for me?
I did. I think the only other thing I would just add is just that it's really, really important to understand that, you know, as, for example, with the immigrant population, I mean, a lot of them are having to work, you know, when we talk, I'm talking about these nuanced issues, you know, for example, just an example with the immigrant population is that oftentimes, I mean, it's not uncommon that parents are working two full-time jobs. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, their ability to provide the support that their children need, for example, in school is very limited, not only because of a language barrier very often, but also their time. So we have to think about more creative ways to really enable these young people to be able to compete in schools, right? So they have an equal shot at getting into Stanford or UC Berkeley, what have you. And same thing, you know, there's just a lot of psychological issues that in general poverty can cause in the person's capacity to operate at their best. And so I think we have to really look at those details and address them. And I think when we talked about, people talked about divesting money, you know, into social services from you know, police enforcement, it was more about talking about amping up our community services. And this is kind of the preventative end that I've been kind of touching on, is that we need to be more proactive. We need to understand that there is a lot of psychological trauma and difficulties that we have to deal with when we are growing up in poverty. We have limited resources. Our parents are perhaps overwhelmed with daily tasks. So there's a lot of stressors that other families may not be experiencing, and we really have to look more holistically at the situation.
Yeah, I agree. So let me add my personal experience here. I will say that being born and raised in San Francisco, I have had a difficult time. I had a difficult time in school getting the proper education, you know, in the San Francisco school district all of my life. I was a high school dropout before I became the first in my family to graduate college. My family has, you know, they've worked in all kinds of areas in San Francisco. My grandfather, my paternal grandfather was a concrete mason who had contracts to lay concrete in the Transbay Tube. But that was, you know, a long time ago. Since then, you know, when my brother wanted to start his marijuana cultivation business, he was deemed a drug dealer. Okay. And he was locked up and imprisoned and ultimately murdered in Potrero Hill on April Fool's Day, 2008. I was the first in my family, like I said, to graduate from college, the first to work in broadcasting. I interned for the first African-American news reporter, Belva Davis, in 1996. And here it is, 2021. At 55 years old, I'm continuing my work in broadcasting, as you guys can see, and I applied with ABC and I reached the top 3, and I'm still not being considered. You know, I still can't make an impact segue into my chosen field. You know, the oppression, the inequality, the working conditions that I've seen and experienced, unionized or not, in San Francisco has been traumatic. And so I did create the Bay Area Mental Health Hour that Ken talked about because of the family trauma that I've witnessed. I could be going through some trauma myself if I wasn't able to cope at the level that I'm able to cope. I'm still unemployed. I've been looking for employment for over 2.5 years now, developing this platform now to try and create my own Clarity Media, my own media platform. I'm struggling. And my families have struggled, and we continue to struggle, even though we were in San Francisco, even though we were there in a place where there was lots of opportunities. I went to school, learned what I needed to learn and did all that I needed to do, and still today am struggling. So yeah, it's a never-ending thing, and it's a whole lot to do with the people who don't want to get up off of their stuff and want to share. That's the way I see it. They don't want to share in the riches, in the royalties. I was at Con4 Television in that newsroom, but I was making just a little bit more than minimum wage. And I was working 12, 14-hour days without a lunch break. Broadcasters won't talk about the things, especially African-American broadcasters. They will not talk about the things that they are experiencing in the newsrooms because the community is so small. And here in the Bay Area, you got to pay your rent. People are afraid to lose employment. They get an opportunity like being in a newsroom and it's their dream job. But no, forget that. I said forget it. Because it did not make any sense for me to drive to San Francisco and slave on that job, being treated disrespectfully, not having a lunch break or a bathroom break on a job in 2021. So people wonder, well, you were at Con4, what happened? Or you were at Card Media, what happened? Or you were at KCBS, what happened? Can you guys imagine why I'm not there? I'm one of the only Black women in the Bay Area who made it to that point where millions could hear me just for a short time because I was a temporary or a Band-Aid fix for them until they got someone to replace me while I did the work. It's tragic the way we are still being treated by those people who call the shots. And so I decided to create my own platform, open up the floor, and let us talk about let us talk about reality and the way it is and change it, because we can help each other. You may know someone who can get me a job. I connected a friend with a manager at the 511 system. You guys know what 511 is, right?
Yes.
511 is Metropolitan Transportation Commission, Caltrans, the automated travelers information system. I launched that in 2000. I was one of the first reporters to report the current conditions. So when you dial 511 and you get the automated system, well, it wasn't always automated. I was on the other end of the telephone. And I was able to get someone a job there. She's been there now for 20 years, but she's never reached out to me when I needed employment. All it was taken was her reaching back. So I think that's what we need to do. We need to reach out, reach back, reach to lift someone up as we go. So that's my 2 cents.
No, I agree with you 110%. And I think I recently made a comment. I'm sure Ken probably saw it, that I said, it really starts from the top, and the people at the top have to be the example. And the way they can do that is by creating policies that do show compassion, that do show their willingness to share their space with people who are not as fortunate. It's very real. I mean, when I told my story growing up and having my first job at 12, my sisters and I all worked from age 12 on to help bring money into our household. And then, having 2 jobs in high school, but still being on the swim team and going to school and trying to keep up with my grades. And I mean, these are the kind of things that, where now, for example, I know a lot of families who have, MIT tutors for their kids, and they're getting all straight A's and all these wonderful things and applying for the same schools. And so when we talk about equity, it is really about leveling that playing field. I mean, whether someone got an A and they had an MIT tutor the whole time, and then you have this other student who was working 2 jobs until 11 o'clock at night and still having to come home and do homework, you know, I think they're both equally very qualified, and we need to continue to make sure that those metrics are being considered when we talk about admissions to schools and opportunities for jobs. We need to understand that as a mother of a child who, now young adult, who's a lifelong person with different abilities. My trajectory, I have a degree in molecular cell biology with an emphasis in neurobiology, and yet I was limited to what I could do because I had to attend to my daughter's needs. And so, this is really what has brought me forward personally, is that people can't see the walls that are before us. And some of them we can break down, some of them we just have to climb and get over them. But that road, it may be harder and longer, but at the same time, why are we okay with making that the norm for people who have disadvantage? Why not lend a helping hand? And I think that that's why it is so important from the top down, meaning our legislators, whether federal or state or local, they really need to start thinking about it as a community-based effort and really make, sweeping change that changes the culture of our society.
Thank you, Marisol. Go ahead, Ashley. I'm sorry.
I think you've just hit the nail on the head. Speaking of equity and diversity and inclusion, which is something that I'm passionate about when I joined the Coalition of Asian American Government Employees. That's one of the things that have got me interested in government, was to see what kind of equity we can get out of it. And, after joining the city, there are, data is being published on their DHR website that says that there's 40%, for example, Asian that are working for the city in different levels. And there are only less than 9% that are managers. And when we get down to the department heads, that's even less. We're talking about 6%. So that's grossly underrepresented, in as a government. So with the population of the Asians in around 35 to 40%, that's overwhelmingly underrepresented. And, as you can see, you're talking about promotion. When you look around the managers, there's no managers like you that are around. How is there going to be any kind of equity? Right. When we talk about inclusion, what kind of inclusion would that be? I mean, I think everything needs to start with the government. And when we're talking about this trajectory of being diverse, I mean, where does that come from? Like you said, Marisol, it needs to come from the top. And as a government, we need to lead by example. If we need the corporations to start doing that, why not start with the government?
Yeah, thank you, Ashley. Just because when you started mentioning the numbers, just because African Americans are such a small population, I think it was easy for them to just say, "Oh, nobody will notice."
No,
nobody will notice. They're not here.
No, but I think we should definitely it's a number doesn't lie, and we should put it out there to see. It's actually on the DHR website. You can go in and take a look. It's public information. It really stated that we're grossly underrepresented.
And even more so for women.
Exactly, and I speak that because I represent the Coalition of Asian American Government Employees. But if you look on the website, there's the Latinos are being underrepresented, the Blacks are being underrepresented as well.
So Professor John Taylor is not here tonight because I want to invite him for a later show, but he called it American apartheid. Simply, American apartheid. And we know what has happened in South Africa, with everything being flipped on its head, And so people like Shamann Walton in San Francisco, he's fighting for reparations, and I'll just quote Professor James Taylor. He said that reparations are what white people have every morning that they wake up. Every morning they wake up in a day, they have reparations. They don't have to worry about where they're going to, make money or where their next dollars coming from. They don't have to worry about shelter. They don't have to worry about access to health care. They don't have to worry about access to good education and all of that. They have reparations built in. We want the same. You know.
What's the term they use? White privilege?
Yes.
White
It's
privilege.
understanding privilege, and for some people, I mean, I think the Trump administration really highlighted how unaware a lot of Caucasian people in this country are of their privilege. White Caucasian people in particular are how many of them really do not realize the privilege they have. I think every person of color that I know, including myself, can probably share at least a handful of stories where we know very overtly we were discriminated against. And so I don't think they really truly understand what that does to someone's psyche, what that does to the harmony really in their spirit and how they feel in their world, you know. And so these are when I talk about fundamental changes, it's about equity, and we have to address that. You know, I mean, like when Prop 16 failed, it was very upsetting. And unfortunately, like, I mean, I think for some people, you know, I mean, we noticed at UC Berkeley, for example, we noticed certain populations of student enrollment dropped almost immediately as soon as affirmative action was removed, you know? So,
yeah,
you know, we have to put in place some metrics that will ensure that all people of color and people, especially, you know, especially people who are socioeconomically disadvantaged, that all of their true work skills and efforts are acknowledged in its entirety, not just by numbers, but what they actually do.
Yeah. Yeah. So, really empowering families, making sure that they have the proper health care, that they can go and receive a COVID vaccination if they choose to, you know, that they have dental coverage, that they, you know, that my mom can be taken care of with her breast cancer diagnosis. You know, African-American women with breast cancer, the numbers outweigh the population of, I could go on and on. You guys, tell me if you have a few more minutes, because I want to take a quick little break. Give us a chance to take a deep breath, tackle one more really important subject, and then come right back. How many minutes do you guys have? You got a moment? Can you stay it?
Yes.
Okay. So thank you everyone out there for joining us here on We the People Building Trust for the first time. I'm going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be back. Okay. Tune in weekdays to the Bay Area Mental Health Hour on YouTube, Instagram, and on Facebook. You'll find us covering issues surrounding your everyday coping skills and your mental health and wellness. And remember, your mental health matters as much as your physical health. 60% of all Californians who get hurt on the job are Latinos. The California Applicants Attorneys Association fights for equal treatment and rights of immigrant communities when applying for workers' compensation. Know your rights as an injured worker. Visit cAAA.org or call 916-444-5155. This is paid for and sponsored by the California Applicants Attorneys Association. I feel freer.
Like you could just stay here. Present.
Today's live stream is being brought to you by Clarity Media. Support the Dreamer Fund, assisting dreamers and undocumented students financially to pursue and complete law school through creative community engagement. Visit dreamerfund.org today.
Hey there, welcome to Bridgegood. My name is Diego and I'm a fellow Bridgegood creative. Are you a design student looking to build your portfolio or to join the community of creatives and designers? Well, you've come to the right place. I'm going to show you how you can boost your creative online presence and how you can become a part of the community of tech and design with Bridgegood. Bridgegood is a non-profit organization located in Oakland, California that prepares student designers and job seekers of color in the digital design field by engaging them in open labs and community events. Bridgegood offers a free online platform called bridgegood.com for local Bay Area creatives to build their portfolios as well as to give them access to exclusive events and open labs. If you're like me and you don't know how to create a portfolio, don't worry, Bridgegood's got you covered. At the top of your portfolio page is your featured project, which is essentially a project that most demonstrates your skills. Under is your gallery of projects. I'm going to show you how to upload a project. You're going to go to upload project and you'll be brought to this page. You can upload as much as 4 images per project. Be sure to fill in a project title, description, keywords, and other information. Once you're ready, you can upload the image. Be sure to upload at least 4 projects. So it's very important that you upload projects frequently to be able to boost your online portfolio, as well to get you noticed by other creatives. Bridgegood offers a resume section where you can input your skills and information. You can fill out experience that you have in your field. Don't forget to add a cover image to complete your portfolio so other people can see it. That's not all Bridgegood.com has to offer. Under VIP access, this is what's going to help you get into different events and open labs with Bridgegood. It's important to attend these events because they help get you involved with other creatives as well as tech companies. Bridgegood even offers a job browsing page to help you look for jobs in your field as well as to see what employers are looking for. And of course, don't forget to build your network by following other creatives on Bridgegood. Check out their portfolios and leave some feedback and they can do the same for you. So there you have it. I hope this video has been helpful and inspiring for you. Be sure to upload work frequently to boost your creative online presence and attend events to get involved. Check out my portfolio at bridgegood.com/Diego M. Thanks for watching. Bridgegood, designed for social good.
Black woman owned. Clarity Media. Okay, we're back. We're back. I guess Marisol will join us in just a few. Hello. Thank you for joining us, everyone. This is the first We the People, Building Trust for the first time. We just came back from commercial break. Before the break, we were wrapping up some really important points about, the reality and, getting to solutions now. So here we are. What can we do? What will we do? What kind of coalitions are we going to develop from this day forward? And I think that's what it's about, that coalition building, the ideas around creating mandates for things we will and will not stand for, right? Diversity and inclusion are nice, but what kind of actions can we take as individuals outside of the corporate world, in our real life worlds, to build coalitions and create mandates for ourselves?
I think we do have to set the stage as leaders. Some people talk about us thought leaders or political leaders or neighborhood leaders. And by example, show other people what can be done, what must be done, and what will be done. But also talking to the community and the people that are watching us. Also, please show up. If we create a space where there's going to be something engaging and that helps the community, if you have to have somebody babysit the kids or take turns, but show up when there's a city council meeting or school board meeting, or there's something going to be discussed that affects you at your job or in your neighborhood, and show up, because we get energy from that. And as people who give to the community, we also like to feel the energy to keep going. And that's where we learn also what the priorities are, because we might think this is what should be done, and then we're totally off track what our neighbor actually wants. So that's what I would encourage, to set the goals, but we need people to help us out.
I think that there are many ways. I think if you're just starting out, definitely, reaching out to your local organizations. If for me, the way I got involved, honestly, was it, like most people, some presidential election motivated me to get involved, because I wanted to really help this candidate move forward. And then eventually I realized, I started sort of digging and asking around and trying to find out, where do I go if how do I get plugged in? And it really started with the local organizations, whether there's clubs, sometimes I'm very aligned with a Democratic Party. So obviously for me, it was Democratic clubs, Democratic organizations, the Central Committee, these different areas where I could be part of those spaces and learn more, and get engaged little by little, more and more. I think that, I think social media has opened also the door to many more opportunities where, we can be involved. I mean, obviously nothing replaces in person, but during the times of COVID, social media is a great resource to get a message out. And I know I've done, I've started some pages to really address, in particular, women of color, and addressing issues of oppression. And also, unfortunately, there's some misogyny, there's issues that we deal with, the fact that, we were just constantly always subtly being retold that we're not good enough, or we're not prepared, or we need to go back and start over. And there's always this, if you look carefully, there's a lot of people who are working higher up than women, and their qualifications aren't anywhere near the same. So somehow they get a pass, especially Caucasian males will get a pass. And the women just sort of stand by, and we're doing a lot of the work. I see a lot of women being engaged. We are the machine running a lot of these nonprofit and volunteer positions. So I think that, in whatever capacity you're able to, whether you want to be a self-starter, you can start, online, try to find out if you're affiliated with a certain party, and you're passionate about it, like what I did, find out what local clubs are around and they're in, and start asking how else I can get plugged in, and look into commissions that are in our counties, or, oftentimes they have commissions for women and girls, or the aging population. There's all kinds of things that you really could get involved in, and therein learn about all the different organizations that exist within the area.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, Ashley, you want to
Really is
go?
finding out what you're passionate about and follow that passion and get involved and participate in the things and the discussions, like this platform here. You know, when I'm passionate about something, somebody reach out, there you go, and you participate and put yourself in it and have a voice. I think that's what that's what's important. That an important lesson that I've learned in city government is that you have to have a voice and you have to have an opinion, right? Not that you're not open to other people's opinion, but you have to develop your own voice and your own opinion about something. And feel comfortable with it and share it.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I've reached out to Ashley, I reached out to Marisol, I reached out to Ken, and Ken reached out to me, and we built this platform here. And this is the very first We the People. I mean, how exciting is this? For me, I had dreams of being in a newsroom and spend time on the radio, but could never imagine something like this. How wonderful is this? And it's all about what we do with it. You know, we are controlling this. The messages, the people that we have on as guests, it's all in our control, and what we do with it really will be the example, I think, to show others, you know, don't be camera shy. Well, you don't always have to have your image on. You know, we could just, you know, go without the camera, but your voice can still be heard. You know, you can still be active and engaged in some way or another. And so that's why I built We the People. Again, like I said at the beginning of the show, this is not about social media status or likes. You know, those are nice. But this, and it's not even about the advertising. You know, the advertising was all free tonight. You know, I didn't ask for 1 cent. I didn't ask, you know, for anything to produce those ads and put them all together. They weren't, you know, everything that you see tonight was prepared and produced by me because I know how to do it. I can do it. And so why not do it? Just do it. Just get involved in some way.
Alicia, I want to congratulate you, and this is wonderful that you built this platform. There's no doubt in my mind that you will succeed in one way or the other. If somebody don't give it to you, don't worry about it. You'll take it just like it is. And just like this platform here, you build it, it's yours. And this is when you mention about, you know, what it is that we can do. You're doing what you can do. You're building coalition. We're finding causes. You're finding platforms to support each other. And I want to congratulate you. And my first thought when you reached out to me, my mind was like, I have to support this woman. She's just like me, like a minority woman, a woman of color, trying to make it out on her own. And yes, I'm here to support.
Oh, thank you so much. Ashley, I have to share with the audience where we met. We met in the front of City Hall in San Francisco. As two mothers, we were out with our children to support Nancy Pelosi on that day and her efforts for for healthcare, you know, because we all deserve healthcare, affordable healthcare. And we had our children with us, two mothers, and we just gave each other a look. We gave each other some smiles. Our children gave each other's looks and smiles. And we have great pictures and fond memories of meeting each other there in an effort to make a difference in our community. So I really appreciate it.
Right now, I mean, we need national coverage at this point, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
And there's actually a really good point. You guys reminded me of this. So thank you so much, both of you. AB 1400, CalCare. It's a bill trying to bring single payer here to California. Please, please, please call your state legislators, your assembly member, and your state senator. You can look it up online and call them. Pick up the phone or email them if you're, a little bit more phone shy. But it's very easy. Just let them know. All they're going to ask you is, what's your name? what city you live in, and they might, and basically what's your position. But the more people that call, the more people that get engaged, the louder we are together. And
so
I think that,
just quickly, Marisol, just give us a quick summary of AB 1400.
now I haven't read through the entire thing in detail, but I will say that single payer in itself, there has been just a ton of research done on this, that it's unbelievable. I recently looked, there was a meta-analysis done on 22 studies on single payer, which all confirmed that the net gain of transitioning to single payer would be experienced within, if not within the first year, within the first 5 to 10 years. So we are going to save money, while this is what I meant by doing goodwill, like our state legislators showing compassion, showing they care. This is how they show they care. They show that healthcare should be a human right. Every other industrialized nation does it, and they save on healthcare.
Yeah.
When it's a cost saving, I'm struggling to understand in my mind, especially people who constantly argue about taxes. I'm asking myself, well, if you want less taxes, why not transition to a healthcare that's much more affordable? It doesn't make sense why we wouldn't do that. And so and I think if I recall correctly, it was somewhere around $37.5 billion a year we would save, approximately. Don't hold me too strong on that, but it was around there. It was about $37.5 billion a year. And that's a huge savings. I mean, that's money that could go into education, you know, kids who are now getting in debt for decades, you know, I mean, all that money could really go into these other community services that we talked about, closing the gap in opportunity. And so we really need to start asking our representatives to lead with compassion. I call it compassionate capitalism. And, you know, we could have both, but it has to be compassionate. It has to be, you know, show humanity. And we lost that.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any humanity in capitalism. You know, I mean, you know, it's yeah.
I'm happy about
that's another week session.
Right.
I'm happy about what Marisol is bringing up, that everybody should feel that their local representative is available. They do listen, and you don't have to be extraordinary, although we all are. You could just be somebody who has some regular issues to sit down to talk about with your local legislator. I do lobbying. I have discussed laws to help immigrants and injured workers in Sacramento. And the most important visits with representatives have been when I brought actual injured workers to say what's going on, even through an interpreter. That's more genuine than like a professional lobbyist or somebody with the degree. It matters. It has impact. And I think if something could be shown to people, it would be not just participation, but also how to lobby to get their interests heard and makes stuff happen. So I appreciate and admire the efforts with local municipal government and state government that both the women leaders are doing here in this panel.
And just to confirm, it is $37.5 billion, and that is just in the state of California.
Wow. Well, thank you all so much for being here tonight. What an honor to have all three of you here. Although there were others we've missed tonight, Dr. Jaycion Outlaw, we missed Pastor Nelson Ravel and Salsi Al-Zubaydah. But I would like to just, I'd like to invite the audience out there to reach out to us. If you're interested in being on the show, just contact us at We the People. We'll be happy to have you. And thank you again to my guests for being here. This is a place for us. It's a community talk show where we can reflect, heal and create solutions together as often as necessary. I promise you guys that. I'll turn it all on so that we can get together, especially during our social crisis and political crisis that are happening, that continue. And we're going to see some more, but we've got to roll up our sleeves. We have to do the work. We, the people, will be the platform where we can get the work done. We can do the work. We can be open about it, talk candidly and honestly without breaking down any relationships or respect for each other the way we've done tonight. So bravo to all of you. And thank you to the audience for tuning in to the very first We the People. We'll be back again real soon. Just, follow, like, and share what we're doing here on Facebook, and you'll be notified as soon as the next episode comes up. Okay. All right. Thank you again to everyone for joining me tonight. For now, go out, roll up your sleeves, do the work, because out of chaos comes clarity, right here on Clarity Media. Thank you. Thank you.
I feel freer. Like you could just stay here. Present.
Hey there, welcome to Bridgegood. My name is Diego and I'm a fellow Bridgegood creative. Are you a design student looking to build your portfolio or to join the community of creatives and designers? Well, you've come to the right place. I'm going to show you how you can boost your creative online presence and how you can become a part of the community of tech and design with Bridgegood. Bridgegood is a non-profit organization located in Oakland, California that prepares student designers and job seekers of color in the digital design field by engaging them in open labs and community events. Bridgegood offers a free online platform called bridgegood.com for local Bay Area creatives to build their portfolios as well as to give them access to exclusive events and open labs. If you're like me and you don't know how to create a portfolio, don't worry, Bridgegood's got you covered. At the top of your portfolio page is your featured project, which is essentially a project that most demonstrates your skills. Under is your gallery of projects. I'm going to show you how to upload a project. You're going to go to upload project and you'll be brought to this page. You can upload as much as 4 images per project. Be sure to fill in a project title, description, keywords, and other information. Once you're ready, you can upload the image. Be sure to upload at least 4 projects. It's very important that you upload projects frequently to be able to boost your online portfolio, as well to get you noticed by other creatives. Bridgegood offers a resume section where you can input your skills and information. You can fill out experience that you have in your field. Don't forget to add a cover image to complete your portfolio so other people can see it. That's not all Bridgegood.com has to offer. Under VIP access, this is what's going to help you get into different events and open labs with Bridgegood. It's important to attend these events because they help get you involved with other creatives as well as tech companies. Bridgegood even offers a job browsing page to help you look for jobs in your field, as well as to see what employers are looking for. And of course, don't forget to build your network by following other creatives on Bridgegood. Check out their portfolios and leave some feedback, and they can do the same for you. So there you have it. I hope this video has been helpful and inspiring for you. Be sure to upload work frequently to boost your creative online presence and attend events to get involved. Check out my portfolio at bridgegood.com/Diego M. Thanks for watching. Bridgegood, designed for social good.
60% of all Californians who get hurt on the job are Latinos. The California Applicants Attorneys Association fights for equal treatment and rights of immigrant communities when applying for workers' compensation. Know your rights as an injured worker. Visit cAAA.org or call 916-444-5155. This is paid for and sponsored by the California Applicants Attorneys Association. Black woman owned. Clarity Media.
If you're hungry for some real home cooking, then Chez Sol is the spot for you. Located on Madison Street in downtown Fairfield for the past 12 years, this restaurant got its start in an unconventional way.
A friend of mine, her name is Georgia Tackno. We used to cook together years ago, and we had lost track of each other, and we just so happened to run into each other one day at the grocery store, and she told me about her adventure, that she wanted to start a restaurant.
Hungry for some Southern favorites? Chez Sol has what you're craving. Raised on these traditional Louisiana dishes, Cheryl has switched up some of her recipes to satisfy a richer palate.
We have Louisiana style, Cajun, Creole. Our specialties here is like shrimp Creole, crawfish etouffee, seafood gumbo, and we also serve fried chicken and fried fish. The favorite menu item here is fried chicken, along with the fried catfish. My favorite food here is the seafood gumbo. I just love gumbo. I'm a soup type of girl, you know. My family, we always had gumbo. It was like a staple there. When our customers walk through the door, we want them to be treated as a family member because they'll remember that over the food.
Today's live stream is being brought to you by Clarity Media. Support the Dreamer Fund, assisting dreamers and undocumented students financially to pursue and complete law school through creative community engagement. Visit dreamerfund.org today. Tune in weekdays to the Bay Area Mental Health Hour on YouTube, Instagram, and on Facebook. You'll find us covering issues surrounding your everyday coping skills and your mental health and wellness. And remember, your mental health matters as much as your physical health.
Taylor J Collection is a women's contemporary lifestyle brand designed to empower and inspire women to move through their own personal life journey. It's very simple what we do. We create clothing that is reliable, comfortable, and stylish that allows women to move through their day with ease and confidence, all while inspiring other women. It's no secret that as women, we struggle with body images, clothing that makes us feel frumpy, insecure, and just not feeling at our best. So it's our priority to design clothing that changes a woman's emotions when it comes down to their wardrobe. We make clothing that is consistent with a woman's lifestyle. We create spaces for women to empower themselves and to feel beautiful and confident no matter what stage they are in their personal journey in life. It's not always that easy though, because as women we deal with so many different changes. There's motherhood, there's our careers, there's just everything that life brings us sometimes that can oftentimes become just hard for us and can be a hardship. So what better way than to provide clothing that changes that and makes you feel good throughout every milestone? And that's what we do. We have clothing for the pregnant woman, the traveling woman, the entrepreneur, just the woman that wants to feel good and feel inspired and share that with another woman that's experiencing the same things as her. Taylor J Collection eliminates this whole exhausting and consuming experience. I design clothing to contract and expand the woman's body as she moves through one phase of life to another. My clothes wrap around bodies in a number of ways. They can be belted, worn loose and flowy. They can be sweaters, tunics, shawls, or even dresses. We have built a loyal, committed customer base since 2015, and this has inspired us to create for even more women. The problem is, it's very, very costly to do this. Do you know that it takes up to $1,000 just to make one style? That's one style. And so for us, we've always made it a mission to provide clothing for curvy women, but now we want to take it a step further and we need your help to do this. We ask that you check out all the women that we have already touched hearts, we've touched their hearts, and they love the clothing, and we want this to be present for every woman in every household across the world. So please take the time, check out our brand, check out our mission, and see what we stand for, and try to find yourself within this brand. Help another woman discover her journey, and it starts with what you wear.
A Bay Area
Thank you
mural
so much.
honors the
We
women
appreciate
of the
you. Thanks for your love.
Hey there, welcome to Bridgegood. My name is Diego and I'm a fellow Bridgegood creative. Are you a design student looking to build your portfolio or to join the community of creatives and designers? Well, you've come to the right place. I'm going to show you how you can boost your creative online presence and how you can become a part of the community of tech and design with Bridgegood. Bridgegood is a nonprofit organization located in Oakland, California that prepares student designers and job seekers of color in the digital design field by engaging them in open labs and community events. Bridgegood offers a free online platform called bridgegood.com for local Bay Area creatives to build their portfolios, as well as to give them access to exclusive events and open labs. If you're like me and you don't know how to create a portfolio, don't worry, Bridgegood's got you covered. At the top of your portfolio page is your featured project, which is essentially a project that most demonstrates your skills. Under is your gallery of projects. I'm going to show you how to upload a project. You're going to go to upload project and you'll be brought to this page. You can upload as much as 4 images per project. Be sure to fill in a project title, description, keywords, and other information. Once you're ready, you can upload the image. Be sure to upload at least 4 projects. It's very important that you upload projects frequently to be able to boost your online portfolio, as well to get you noticed by other creatives. Bridgegood offers a resume section where you can input your skills and information. You can fill out experience that you have in your field. Don't forget to add a cover image to complete your portfolio so other people can see it. That's not all Bridgegood.com has to offer. Under VIP access, this is what's going to help you get into different events and open labs with Bridgegood. It's important to attend these events because they help get you involved with other creatives as well as tech companies. Bridgegood even offers a job browsing page to help you look for jobs in your field, as well as to see what employers are looking for. And of course, don't forget to build your network by following other creatives on Bridgegood. Check out their portfolios and leave some feedback, and they can do the same for you. So there you have it. I hope this video has been helpful and inspiring for you. Be sure to upload work frequently to boost your creative online presence and attend events to get involved. Check out my portfolio at bridgegood.com/Diego M. Thanks for watching. Bridgegood, designed for social good.
We got love, love, love. You better believe it.
Peace, family. Reefer One here from Aerosol and the Black Artists Guild, also a member of the Oakland Maroons. So I'm standing here today in front of a mural recently completed by the Aerosol Collective, and this is a Pan-African theme, an Afro-futurist theme, understanding that African people from all over the world, diaspora, is important for us to control the visual landscape and have vision for the revolutionary world that we want to live in. And so planting the seeds into the imagination of young people is critical to the work that we do. And featured on the wall, we have artists from Los Angeles, Oakland, West Oakland in particular, and West Africa. Our brother Mad Zoe is here from Senegal, and we're working with other artists in the area to, connect, show our signs of unity within the culture of hip-hop style writing, and that's what you got going on here. We put the word home here, dealing with shelter, because as Pan-Africans, we understand that home is Africa, but when we as African people are thoroughly organized and our homeland is liberated, we understand that the planet will be home. The violent system of gentrification, which is just another term for colonization, has taken place at a higher level than it had before. And a lot of our brothers and sisters are out on the street. So we're creating a mural that's depicting some of our community brothers and sisters here in West Oakland. You see some of the housing. And over here, we're dealing with the term justice. In order for us to have peace and feel at home, we have to have justice. And the only way we're going to get justice is by organizing to get it. We have to take it, we have to demand it. And we have to understand the political ramifications around what it is when we don't versus when we do. And we are about to do. There's going to be images here depicting some of the rank and file brothers and sisters who were courageous enough to organize and stand in the gap for African people when they're in need, because they were shining examples to us right now about what it is to do when your people are in a crisis. So in this area, we're going to be creating some images around the Moms for Housing. There was significant organizing done in our community to bring that to the attention of the public and to the African community in particular, so that we understand that we cannot allow the state to harass, threaten, and terrorize our community, particularly our women and our children. It cannot be tolerated. If you'd like to support our efforts with transforming the visual landscape of the African community, you can support us at GoFundMe Black Panther Mural. All proceeds go to Aerosol to help us transform the visual landscape to make it conducive for healthy growth for African people. All power to the people.
A Bay Area mural honors the women of the Black Panther Party.
Hundreds of people gathered in West Oakland at the corner of 9th and Center to witness an 18th century Victorian be transformed into a community landmark. Muralist Rachel Wolf Goldsmith painted images and names of some of the women of the Black Panther Party.
It's an honor to work on a project honoring such amazing women. Part of the reason that I moved to Oakland is its history of political activism and activism around racial justice and the Black Panthers in particular. So, you know, this project has evolved over a number of months and finally come to the point of putting this up. And it just feels really amazing to be in this learning process, to be immersed with, you know, Black Panther women coming by. And
Homeowner and curator Jill Christina Vest wants to honor the women on what she feels is important Oakland soil.
Last summer, when the rebellion was happening and all the murals were going up downtown Oakland, part of it was because they were going to be temporary and I wanted to look at something permanent. And part of it was they were memorializing grief and I wanted to honor joy and action. So this was what I came up with to bring joy into my life and try to bring more joy into the Black community of West Oakland.
She also hopes we'll all recognize party.
So my house sits right across the street from 1456 9th Street, which is where Huey P. Newton was felled on August 22nd, 1989.
In today's crowd, an unassuming original Oakland Party member, Kimberly Nelson, watches with pride and reads the names of former party comrades.
Catherine Lawrence, Valerie Bowman, Belinda Brickhouse, Margot Bronson, Mary Elaine Brown.
Kimberly describes how she spent a significant part of her life in the Black Panther Party.
The West Oakland branch coordinator of the Black Panther Party right here on 10th Street for probably about 6 years. I was a party member from 1970 to 1976.
Kimberly says she's happy she could share this moment with her daughter, who was once considered a Black Panther cub. Oakland Party member Bobby McCall shares his memories.
I went to party in Philadelphia in 1970. I came from Philadelphia to Oakland in 1972. I just turned 22 years old.
Bobby also shares what he remembers most about the women in the Black Panther Party.
Women of the Black Panther Party ran the Black Panther Party. That's real talk.
In my next report on the women of the Black Panther Party, we'll learn why they began to arm themselves and resist national government. Reporting from the San Francisco-Oakland Bay Area, Alicia Mayo for Clarity Media. Black woman owned. Clarity Media.